Good afternoon and welcome back to day 16, right, of the 29 days love challenge, right? Challenge! Yeah, man, I've been challenging you guys every single day for 16 days, man. And it's been really exciting, man, to hear some of the some of the comments and feedback from different people. Yesterday was really powerful. I had well, my son, but my son-in-law, I take always take the law off because they just my sons now, and having him on was powerful yesterday because we were dealing with the subject on who is your neighbor, right? And when I showed the little clip on the different type of people, most of the people are not probably people we would just hang out with, right? Most of the people we seen in the video we probably would just pass by, right? We wouldn't even help. And so having a conversation with him, about who is your neighbor, and because every day, in his line of work as a firefighter, right, it doesn't make a difference, right? When he gets a call to go out, it doesn't make a difference whether you're black, white, Indian. It does not make a difference, man. He's going there to do a job in which I believe he loves to do, right? And he's going there trying to save lives. He has saved lives, right? And then there has been some that have probably been lost, but not because of the effort they put forth to save that life or to save that home, right? And so every day that's an act of kindness all by itself, that I would choose that job knowing that my life is could always be in jeopardy. I'm giving my life to save another life. I mean, it's just a powerful thing. And having him on yesterday to talk about that was very, very powerful. And so we're on today. I want to make note, and I don't know his name, but his first name is Kareem, right? And he developed this documentary called The Right to Read. If you go online and you look it up, it says The Right to Read, right? And you may see LeVar Burton as a part of the team, but I mean, it's a very powerful, powerful piece. Looks like uh, in NYC or New York City school district is going to take on what I can. You talk about a challenge, and you talk about a challenge, right? I was very proud of the chancellor last night, um, during the panel discussion when he said after he saw the documentary, right, he got motivated to do the right to read, and which means, I mean, this is a heavy challenge when your chancellor says, right, that he wants every kid in the school district of New York to learn how to read. I mean, that's a challenge all by itself. Man, that is an undertaking. And even the gentleman who was responsible for the documentary says, I think Mississippi has now passed, in terms of reading, has now passed new states like New York and Chicago and different places like that because they have learned the science of reading, right? Very powerful. And he said, but it didn't happen overnight, because one of the things about love, right? The fruit, it says, the scripture says the fruit of the spirit. It just says fruit. It don't say fruits, right? Is love. And then there are the attributes of love, right? So when you look inside of it, it's the word patience, right? So this is, hey, it took us a long time to get where we are, right? And so in Mississippi, it took 10 years. He challenged them in New York to say, look, okay, this is all good. We're having this little conversation. Yeah, we're going to do this. But do you have 10 years? Do you have 10 years to sacrifice, to be motivated for 10 years to make sure that every kid in your district learns to read, right? Because if you can learn to read, I mean, we could talk about math and science and chemistry and all those things, but if you cannot read and you can't comprehend what you read, right, none of those subjects mean anything to you, right? So you and then here's the craziest data. You have to look up the data on the literacy. literacy worldwide, right? And the literacy in the United States, it's projected over 70 million people, right? 70 million people can't read above the 5th grade level. 70 million. We got a problem. We got an epidemic, right? And so we will always be in poverty. We will always have high health care. We will all have high interest. We always have those things until we correct the battle with illiteracy, right? So I just wanted to throw that out to you, man, because I commend the New York City School District for last night, and I'm gonna be praying, right? I'm gonna be praying that they can achieve that, and I'm gonna be right there with them, because my daughter's a principal in the school district, so I'm right there with you, and this is I'm right there with you with the challenge. So at this moment, I'd like to bring on my guest, Dr. Gwen Gout.
Hey, how
Dr.
are
Gwen,
you?
how are you?
What you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, no complaints. First of all, I want to thank Hugo, my man Hugo King. He was
Thank
on
you.
here a couple of days ago,
Okay.
and we had a great time on here. And I want to thank him for introducing you to me, right? And then we made it happen and got you on here. And I was at Hugo's son's basketball game. My wife and I went there for Valentine's. That
Okay.
wasn't our Valentine's, but we went for Valentine's. They appreciated it. They said, man, your guys came out for, to see our son for Valentine's. Yeah, we came out. I mean, it was the last game of the season. We needed to see him. And the inclement weather kept us from like 3 or 4 games. So
Mhm.
we had to get out there. So and Hugo was his gracious, humble self. And so I thank him. But Dr. Gwen, talk to us about because we're in this love challenge. So talk about what it is that you and your organization does. First of all, talk about who you are
Sure,
before we get in.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes it's hard to talk about yourself, but encapsulating it, I'm a product of the New York City school system. When you were talking about learning to read, I grew up in the Bronx, 2-parent household, loving family, went to all schools, public schools in New York, even college, Long Island University, Fordham University. So I understand the importance of what you talked about reading and having that insight. So, I grew up in the Bronx. I'm a native, born and raised, the whole 9 yards. But to talk a little bit more about myself, um, my organization, Sisters in Service, is something that has been dear to me in my heart. God had given me this vision many years ago. But you know how you running away from what you're supposed to be doing? I ran away from it because I knew what would come with
Oh,
it.
you were Nineveh.
Yeah,
You
I was Jonah for a
was
long
Jonah running
time.
away from Nineveh.
Running. He told me, I got this for you to do, but you just don't want to do it. And I had some challenges. I went through some real challenges. I was immobile, couldn't walk, but God restored me. I have a testimony. I can walk. I used to walk with a cane and a walker. But, it just reminds us how much He loves us. Back to that love thing. He loves us that much that He will take us out of our mess if we will be obedient to Him. So in being obedient to Him, 2 years ago, I started Sisters in Service with 14 charter members, and we've grown to have advisory board. Hugo that you spoke about, he's been very instrumental, and we've branched out to being sisters and brothers. Like you said, there's no distinction. We got to be together in everything that we do. So Sisters in Service was founded, just what it says, to serve others. To serve those in the humanitarian area, to serve those like social services, health, like you just talked about. If you can't read, you won't be able to navigate a lot of things you need to navigate in this world. So if you don't know how to read an application, if you don't know how to read documents, if you don't know how to read the doctor's medications, you're lost. You could be lost health-wise, emotionally, spiritually. And that word of God is important. So if you can't read, that's the best book to read. And if you can't read that, then you really could be lost. So I think it's real important that this organization came about because we're young men and women who have been out there.
Mm.
And so we want to share how to not get in those pitfalls, how not to fall by the wayside, and encourage you, even when you're in a hopeless situation, that God's love will still keep you and sustain you. It's real important that our young people understand and have a relationship with God. I'm a minister also, so I understand
Oh
that I
yeah.
ran away from that too. But when you really say, embrace it and say, God is love, that's what the word of God said. He is love. Then that's the first step, is knowing what and who is really love, and that's God, and embracing that. So Sisters in Service is also a spiritual foundation, so that when we talk and have different events, we're going to make sure that you understand that God is in the midst of everything that you do. And if you want to be successful, and God is love, it starts there. It starts there and it ends there. So Sisters in Service is developing workshops, seminars. We're getting ready to have a major seminar on mental health at a church in Inglewood, the Community Baptist Church of Inglewood. We're partnering with them to do this mental health symposium and to look at it from, how do we deal with it in the church? How do we deal with it in our faith? Because a lot of times it's a stigma. So Sisters in Service, those are the kind of things we want to do. We want to bridge and marry that gap in society and in our faith, and bring them together as one, as a community. So we're going to be partnering with them, and it's going to be at their church in Inglewood, where Pastor Taylor and Lady Gail are the presiders. And Sisters in Service, we're happy about that, because that's what we want to do. We want to go out into the communities, New York, New Jersey, Brooklyn, and everywhere, and hopefully to the world, to say that we want to give service. And service starts with love. If you don't have love and God's love, you can't serve anybody.
That's
You
true.
can't serve nobody if you're not walking that love walk. And I think that's one of the things. And I looked at some of the things you've been talking about, and the revolution. We got to start a love revolution. Just like they
Yeah.
want to have a revolt on other things, we need a love revolution where we can start looking at love and letting it spread like wildfire. That everything you do it for love. Don't do it for yourself, not for selfish reasons. So I think it's important. And that's what Sisters in Service, it's our mission is to go to every corner of this earth and look at what services are required. That makes us a little unique. We're not going to tell you what we offer. You tell us what you need.
I like that. And
And when you tell us what you need, then we have the talent and the gifts that God has given to many of our members and to outsiders that we can bring in, that can share that and help you navigate what you're trying to do. Like the church mental health symposium, we met with the first lady there. She said this was an issue. This was an issue in the church and in the community and the surrounding areas. And we developed this symposium and are bringing in panelists, psychotherapists, social workers, ministers in the faith, deacons, things, and all of the things that we need to bring into the church, and not let it be a stigma when somebody says they have a mental illness. It is a disease. We have to be honest with ourselves. And in the communities of color, it's a major thing.
well,
That
yeah. And so you're saying the programs, what you're trying to do is to be holistic,
absolutely in every
and to
area.
be in every sphere of influence. If you have to, of course, now you're going into the church, but if
Mhm.
you have to go into the school system, you will. If you have to
Absolutely.
go into the political system, you will. If you have to go into
Absolutely.
businesses, right? If you have to go to the sports arena or the entertainment field, man, everybody needs needs a service.
Well, that's you made such a good point, because a lot of times we fear going into certain areas because, quote unquote, it's of the world. But God came, Jesus, he sent his only son to the world. So we have to go everywhere and let our light shine, that men will see our good works, and you know who will be glorified? God in heaven. He's going to get the glory, but we can't be afraid. That's the thing, the fear. There's no perfect love cast out all fear. You can't walk in fear and have that love of God unless you know who he is, and he will take you where you need to go. Sometimes we have to go in dark places to bring the light of God and the love of God. That is what we've been commissioned to do if we're going to be servants and going to serve the people, and not just the people of God, but everybody, because we have to bring them out of where they are into the marvelous light of love, because God. So I like what you're doing with this revolution thing. This is a revolution. You're starting something, and it goes in every area of our lives.
Yeah, and I mean, my book of the month is The Love Revolution by Joyce Myers. Back
Okay.
years ago, I got into the campaign with Joyce when she was doing it, and man, I was writing letters to pastors about the importance of starting a love revolution, which starts with, random acts of kindness.
Yes.
Acts of kindness, in which we said sometimes it just starts with, it just starts with. Let me get back to here. It gets back to, uh, getting back to the basics of things. And so when you look down there and you see, like, I don't know if you've seen this. Did you watch Super Bowl? You a football fan?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of it. So it was I'm trying to see if I still got it on here. This was a commercial at the Super Bowl. Check this out.
Okay.
Don't ask me what you know is true. Don't have to tell you I love your precious heart. I was standing, you were there, two worlds colliding, and they could never tear us apart. We can live for 1,000 years.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's loving, is learning to love all people. I mean, you can't judge people. You never know what people have been through, what their experiences are. And we just got to learn to love people, man. And then the thing we're trying to stress here is that if it takes 21 days to break a habit,
Yes. Yes.
right? So we got 29 days to bring about an awareness.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you make people aware of love, and then if you make people aware of the attribute, what does that mean? Love, and we're not talking about, love for material things, and we're not talking about love for a person romantically. We're talking about how do we love people unconditionally? Yeah,
agape love. Absolutely.
That's right, and that's the power of it. Is that now if we can shift a paradigm where people wake up thinking, because yesterday I was talking to my son, and I was saying, like, one of the biggest problems is that 5 to 7% of the world is probably negative, and I can increase that number. I'll just use it as an example. I'll use 5%, right? And then if 95% of the world is trying to be good, right? But the 5% gets 95% of the attention.
Yeah, that's it.
Right now, if we change the paradigm,
correct,
where we concentrate on the 95% that is doing good, then maybe that 5% will be impacted.
Absolutely.
Because all of us are seeking attention, right? Because people go certain ways because we want to seek attention. So yeah, I mean, I believe this challenge, I believe love works.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm actually, to share a little bit more about myself and this love walk. is that I've written, you know, you talked about this, and I'm working on a third book. It's going to be published, but the two books I wanted to share with you is The Right Time. This was a book that was actually given to me during the pandemic. And it talked about a journey that I had in trying to find my way, and how the love of God brought me out of the darkness into the marvelous light. And then you talked about Galatians 5, 22, 23, the spirit of the fruit. And the second book is A New Beginning, the spirit of the 9 spirit of the fruit that he gave me later on, as he said, that's what I want you to walk in. Exactly. Love, joy, patience, peace, kindness. Those are the attributes he said, I want you to carry as it relates. And First Corinthians 13, they both are in the book. And he said to me, those are the attributes I want you to carry on this mission for service for me, because you have to learn to be loving. You have to be patient with people. You have to be kind to people. You can't be jealous. You can't worry about what's going on to the left or the right. Just stay focused on me. And you can't be boastful and prideful. These are the attributes he said, I want you to live with and walk in. And he says, it's not proud. You're not proud. You don't have to worry. God's got you. If you will walk this love out with me. These are promises that God made to me. And I know if you walk it out with him, these are promises he can make to anyone who will turn to him and say, God is love. I trust you in everything, and I honor you, and I worship you in spirit and in truth. But above all, does not dishonor anybody. It's not self-seeking. You know, love, when you look at these attributes, this is what Jesus did when he walked this earth. This is exactly the message. And he gave us the blueprint. This is a blueprint for love. Oh, yeah. And it's funny because I have it hanging in my house. And when I go out my door, it's by the door. And when I come in, it's coming. I see it at the door. It's a reminder for me. And if I can share that with anyone else, to take 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, and take that challenge and walk that out daily, you'll see how your paths will start changing. There's certain people you won't be entertaining. You'll know when you have to walk something away from you and when you have to walk into it, because that's what Jesus did. Jesus wasn't fearful. His love for the people, and he already knew his assignment. Isn't that something, how he knew what he was going to be dealing with? He still said, Daddy, I'm going to go. I'm going anyway. Now, you know, that's nothing but love. And the Father having that much love for us to send his only son. And they both knew within their spirits what they were going to be dealing with. That is nothing but a gift of love. That's nothing but love. So I challenge everyone today to take 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. 1 John, I think it's 4:17. God is love. And start the challenge of, when you think you're about to raise up something other than love, look at this, read it, see the attributes that our loving God gives us daily to you know, it always protects, it always hopes, it always preserves. But the last thing says it never will fail you.
That's right.
Love will never fail you. If you're walking in true love of God, it will never fail you. It'll give you discernment. It'll make you know when you need to step out, when you need to step back, and just ask God for guidance. So for me, one of the things, this is my testimony. This is what I got to walk out. And when I walk it out through Sisters in Service, through my books, through anything that I do, and in ministry, because he gave my ministry is a life of love ministry. That's the ministry that he gave me, a life of love. When you can live a life of love, then it opens up so many doors and avenues for you. It brings love and light to you. And so something I want to share, you know, Lowe's, is that in my book, The Right Time, I did food for thought. And the first thing he said is, the food for thought is love. And he said, defined as a strong affection for another arising out of kinship or personal ties, maternal love for a child, or attraction based on possibly a sexual desire. And then he said, now go to the biblical reference of it. And that was, of course, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4-8. And then he gave me an acronym that I share almost everywhere that I go. And when you say love, the first letter is light. And he says, Jesus is the light of the world. He is love. John 8:12. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but have light and life in abundance. So he's given these things to me. Light in this world is the love of Jesus. Light gives us the ability to see and brings illumination to the truth. See, love and light also represents, if you're going to love, you got to forgive. He says they go hand in hand. So when people say they love you, that means they are going to walk in forgiveness and the light of God. The O, openness. When something or someone is open, it allows them to express freely their feelings and opinions. We all have heard the expression, be open to love. What does that really, really mean? When you open your heart to the possibilities of love or receiving love, you are allowing something to come into you and release those things that need to come out of you. So when we walk in love, or when you let that light of love and forgiveness be what your guide is, it will take all of those things out of you that have caused you not to love, not to walk in God's light, not to walk in forgiveness. When this happens and we release forgiveness, hate, anger, this frees us to see true love, and light can come into our heart. God is love. Open your heart and let him in. Then he said vulnerability. When we find ourselves vulnerable, we open ourselves or could be possibly exposed to even being attacked or harmed physically or emotionally. But when we open ourselves to the love of God, showing our vulnerability, we are saying, I love unconditionally. And I open myself up so your love and light can and will flow through me to the world. And the E, enlightenment. When we become enlightened, there is awareness and a greater knowledge and understanding about a subject. When we aspire to learn about a subject, what do? We study it. Love is an emotion that we should want to have a better understanding of. How do we do this? Study God's word and read scriptures on how he showed the love with no conditions or looking for anything in return. So I say to everybody today, when we seek love in all the wrong places, we cheat ourselves of God's purity of love. If God is love, we should look to him to enlighten us and how to love and seek him. His love requires us to love one another unconditionally.
I love it. Dr. Gwen, I want to thank you for joining me today, man. That was powerful. Right. And to everyone out there, remember, you can catch up. So you can go back to day one. It was February 1st, and you can catch it on Lowe's More the Blueprint on Facebook and YouTube. Right. And you keep watching. You can share it.
Amen.
But most importantly, not just sharing this, because I'm asking you to. The other thing you could share is you could share love. I mean, you can show acts of kindness.
Absolutely.
Whether you share this or not, if this inspires you to go out and just pause for a moment, become aware. Should I react to this situation?
Absolutely.
Or should I respond to the situation?
That's right.
And if you're better at that, man, I'm pleased with that. So,
Amen.
Dr. Gwen, I want to say thank you.
No, thank
appreciate
you so much.
We're not going to come back. We're looking forward to seeing you guys on day 17 tomorrow. And I'm going to show you 2 videos. So I'm not coming back. So I'm going to show you my one closing video and then my outro. And then we out of here. Man, thank you for pausing this lunchtime. And check out this powerful, powerful video that I've been showing since I found it. Since I found it, I've been showing it every single time. Dr. Gwen, God bless you, man. And again, thank you
so much.
Thank you for coming on. All right, I'll be in touch.
God bless. Looking forward to it.
A.D. Williams once said, Imagine what 7 billion humans could accomplish if we loved and respected one another. Just imagine. Imagine if there was no greed. Imagine if there was no comparison. If everyone was running their own race, but cheering for all others at the same time. Maybe we'll never see that in our lifetime. But what we all can do is start with ourselves. Start with yourself. Choose to lift others up. Choose to set the example of kindness and integrity, the example of compassion and understanding. There's a quote that says, no matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tells all. Integrity is everything. It really is. Who you are is far more important than what you have, and it will always be. Who you are is measured by how you make others feel. Be kind to each other. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Choose to be the change you wish to see in the world. Decide you will not wait for someone else. You will set the example. Be kind. Because you never know how much that person is suffering inside. You never know the difference your words can make, the difference your presence can make, the difference you can make to one human life. Be the reason someone believes in the goodness of humanity. Be the reason someone else decides to make a difference in others. Be the influence you want to see more of. Always do what is right, not what is easy in the moment. Kindness spreads like a virus. When you do good to another, that person does better to those they come in contact with. You really can make a big difference in the world today and every other day. Anne Frank said, in the long run, the sharpest weapon of all is a kind and gentle spirit. No one has ever made themselves great by showing how small another is. Be kind and always build others up to the best of your ability. Treat everyone with the same level of kindness that you would like for yourself. Not because everyone is nice, but because you are. Because karma makes no mistakes. Because it is right. Because you have integrity. Because you want this world to be better when you leave than when you arrive.